it's basically 5 years of not being allowed to protest LGBT events.
We focus on age-appropriate programs,
Right.
and I'm not going to have a conversation.
You know what I
where you're
find
going to say
offensive?
that.
Corrupting kids.
Yeah,
That's
you
what I
know
find
what?
offensive.
And then my husband, who is expressed his objection and standing for his value that grooming kids is wrong, and then he was incarcerated and been back and forth in prison. Like, where is the justice with that? Like, I believe there's a lot of real offender there that just like can live their life, walk freely in the street, and just continue to do offense.
Sydney Vizard for Rebel News here in downtown Calgary at the Calgary Court Centre for a legal update on Pastor Derek Reimer. He has now been released from custody. He just spent 2 months behind bars for an alleged breach of a bail condition where he came to court too early under house arrest. He left his house too early to attend court and spent a couple extra minutes here talking to some of those supporters of his, those who wanted to find out more information on his legal proceedings. And by consequence of him spending those extra few minutes, he was arrested for breaching his supposed conditions. Now, this situation has resolved today at the courthouse. That's why the judge is letting him go from the Edmonton Center, the Edmonton Remand Center, which is 3 hours away from here. So despite the fact that he's being released, he still has to go through these bureaucratic hurdles, 6 hours again away from his family when he's expected to have court again tomorrow for another matter. You can find out about all of his legal situation updates at savepastorderek.com. You can also go there to support his legal defense. After all, for many of you to know, this battle between him and the courts originally stemmed from his fighting against the transgender cross-dresser type education programs that are going forward for youth, not only in Calgary, but this is something that is extended into the Western world where very inappropriate books are being put in access of children who have the availability to pick it up and read it and to look through it, and oftentimes are being encouraged by those at schools, at libraries, to pursue these alternative sexually deviant pathways through life. So if you want to find out more, go to savepastorderek.com, and to support his legal defense, go there now. But for the meantime, we talked to his lawyer, Andrew McKenzie, crowdfunded through the Democracy Fund at savepastorderek.com to find out more about today's updates. And we spoke to Pastor Derek's family to get their insights as to how difficult this has been for them. What was the purpose behind today's court appearance?
So today's court appearance was third of 3 court appearances that, or depending on where you start counting, it could go up to 5, I'd say. Anyways, it was the final court appearance in a long 2-month saga where for the entire time, Derek's been held in custody for various remand facilities, and all through, just to my right, being on the other side of the courthouse walls, about maybe 10 meters to my right, on these courthouse steps here, and there's a rally, just like the one that you can see outside, in support of him. And he goes and he makes some remarks. And because of him showing up there, he was arrested and he was jailed for 2 months for that. He was released today. The judge thought that enough was enough, apparently. And he was let out today. But that's what we were here for today. And he is out of jail as of today.
Yeah, so it's been good news. So Derek will be home with us either tonight or tomorrow. This is what we've been praying for. This is what I'm hoping for. And actually last night I'm not ready I'm not putting my high hopes that he will be released. But you know what? I'm going to embrace the good news. And yeah, thank God that he will be home with us. It's been too long. It's been too long now for just that, standing at the steps. It's not actually part of courthouse. It's a steps according to the judge. So I'm really happy because even though 2 months is too long for that, he's not supposed to be there for that long. But you know what? I'm just gonna embrace of the news today that he will be home with us. It's not too late, even though he missed a lot of milestone with his son. But yeah, he will still be with us, and it's also huge. It's huge because we can plan our life. right? Because it's just tough. I'm going back to work for next few months, and it's just tough when he's in there. I have to plan different things when he is in there, or maybe he's home with other restriction, right? But the good thing also is he's gonna continue with his CSO home arrest that has not been changed, with just like some few maybe like modification, but it's good. I felt relief with the decision today, and I just felt great that he will be with us and we can plan our life now again.
On Christmas Eve of last year, December 23rd, 2024, he was issued a 12-month house arrest sentence because he was found to have criminally harassed a public librarian by filming an interaction with her in which he used some disparaging words to refer to drag queen story hour events, and suggested that the library manager was herself complicit in that.
We focus on age-appropriate programs,
Right.
and I'm not going to have a conversation.
You know what I
where you're
find
going to say
offensive?
that.
Corrupting kids.
Yeah,
That's
you
what I
know
find
what?
offensive.
This conversation is over.
And we're going to make this public, and your name's going to be out there, and that's not going to be good for this
you are
library.
welcome to threaten me.
It's
That
not
is
a
your-
threat, but we
that
want
is
to
your
hold you
option,
accountable.
but I'm
People
going
that are
to end
hosting
this
these pervert
conversation,
grooming
and I'm
hours.
going to ask you to leave.
I'll leave. That's fine.
Yep.
And for doing so and publishing the video of that interaction on his Facebook, that was found to be criminal harassment. So he was given a house arrest sentence for that. And the house arrest was enforced very stringently. And he was found to be out of the house at the time he wasn't supposed to be. He was supposed to be in the house, and he was out of the house to come to his court hearing because he had a number of protests that all resulted in criminal charges. And for one of them, he was acquitted. For one of them, he was convicted. And for the one that he was acquitted on, the prosecution is appealing the acquittal. So he comes to court because the prosecution is taking second kick of the can regarding his acquittal. On his way into court, he's allowed to be in court. And for anyone who is on a house arrest condition, you're allowed to be in court. He comes in, allowed to be in court, and he thinks to himself that, well, I'm allowed to be in court. This is an opportunity I'm allowed to be here. People are here to support me. Let me talk a bit. And he talks a bit. And he shares opinions that the judge did not endorse. And I think maybe some Rebel News listeners might endorse some of these opinions, but I haven't. No judge yet has particularly appreciated the opinions that he shared. But that's beside the point, because the issue was that he was convicted for a very, I would suggest, narrow breach, a breach nonetheless, but a narrow breach of his house arrest by being on these courthouse steps and not putting his head down, walking straight into court and not talking to anyone, because he took a detour to, again, close to court, as close to court as you could possibly get, I'd suggest, because he took that detour, I suppose, I'm going to call it that. That was enough to find him in breach of his 24-hour house arrest, despite being, of course, able to.
Well, and if I can ask you, so obviously 2 months, as described above, Derek Reimer's the predominant or the main provider for the family. Can you just tell us, how has that been going without him for these past 2 months?
Well, it's like, to be honest, it's really hard. It's really hard mentally, physically, like everything, because I felt like there's a lot of like tasks that I need to do every day, and just like being a first-time mom and taking care of a young child is already a lot. But besides that, there's still a lot of tasks that I need to do. Like, he have left Mission 7, and even though we are so grateful that we have a lot of help from different people, but still, like, being in the picture of organizing things, who's gonna do the pickup, like 3 or 4 times a week, it's a lot for me, having a child that's so dependent with me. Like, I actually lose weight with that because I can't even like eat. I just ate once, and I know the in-laws helping us, but like, you need a 24/7 help. And it's been a lot. It's been like emotionally draining to me. I have a very strong faith, but you know what? Sometimes there are weeks, there are days I'm almost giving up because I'm just tired. I'm just tired with everything. This has just been so hard, like just taking care of him. I'm physically drained, but mentally I have to do things. When you're a mom, you don't have a choice but to do. Like like honestly said, if I don't have faith, I don't know where I'm at right now.
Basically, in layman's terms, the prosecution came in and they wanted to keep him behind bars close to basically until Christmas. They wanted an extra 6 months, and they couldn't even get like they wanted an extra 6 months. That wasn't even permissible under the initial order. But they came in asking for an extra 6 months, keep him in past Christmas. That wasn't allowable. But what we came in for was, of course, asking that no breach be found. We didn't want this to set a precedent that these conditions can be enforced so rigorously, especially in circumstances like this, where this is a publicly visible case involving somebody who's known for certain viewpoints. And so, to that extent, we won. We got what he asked for. We got him out of jail. I'm very happy for him. I'm very happy for his wife, for his 6-month-old son. It's wonderful for them. But from the perspective of setting a legal precedent, this is bittersweet because I think I'm concerned about the precedent that this sets. That conditions like this can be enforced so rigorously and in these very particular conditions. There were many remarks made by the judge and the prosecutor about the contents of his comments, and that wasn't at the crux of the finding, but I am concerned that I voiced this concern in court. This concern persists, that I think the public should be concerned that it's not actions that are being policed, but opinions. And to her credit, the judge in this case specified that it wasn't his opinions, but his actions that were being policed here. That said, there was more comment than I was comfortable with, commenting on the relative merit of his opinions. But to the judge's credit, she did issue her sentence and clarify that it was solely based on his actions. I still think there's a concern that that line is blurry, that his opinions are in some way out of bounds, or particularly possibly criminal. We should be very cautious about criminalizing opinions.
Well, and
Derek is equipped. He's equipped being there. I think the only his weakness is us if we are not taken care of, right?
I would say he's also your strength, keeping him motivated.
Exactly. So we're both strength for each other. So there's some maybe mistreatment with him, but he's really good with that. Continuing to be a Christ-like and how to treat people with respect also. He's actually in all 61 days, he did well. And it's been our strength also that he keeps his faith with Christ. And there's a prison wall shaking. There's a lot of testimony that he can share that there was a light in the darkness. There is a lot of inmates has been encouraged why he was there. And those things that he's doing, like praying before meals, passing Bible verses every day. And a lot of inmates was touched. And not by him, but through him by Christ. So he's been doing great with that. And I'm glad that he's equipped being there. And also, even though sometimes it's tough for me to handle our everyday, but we have a lot of help. So he's been happy seeing us that we get a lot of support, right? So obviously we passed 61 days and being strong for each other. And again, without faith, we don't think we can make it. But like supporting each other, encouraging each other, praying for each other, and just like taking one day at a time, it just helped us to get through every day.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but it seemed like the Crown, at a certain point near the end, was arguing that the merits of what kind of protest Reimer would end up would decide whether or not he was allowed to use a microphone or to even attend the event. You know, he brought up the GST protest or whatever it was. Yeah, the Crown lawyer said. But from my perspective, it seemed like he was dabbling into determining whether or not Reimer was allowed to protest based on the intent of the group of protesters. To clarify, because you're a lawyer, not the intent of the group of protesters, but specifically what they were protesting against. It seems like the Crown lawyer was trying to draw a line around what was acceptable and what was not.
That point's well taken. That may have been part of the Crown's strategy, or part of the upshot of what the Crown was submitting, that there are some protests are more permissible than others. The judge did not opine on that, but I think that's the consistent danger in a case like this. That certain opinions, certain protests, certain causes are more permissible than others. And again, I appreciate the words of the judge very much, that it's about his actions, not his opinions. We just have to be very careful to keep towing that line.
And so, how old is your child now?
He's turned 8 months actually on 1st of July. Yeah.
And I asked specifically because that's a quarter of his life that his father's been removed.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And have you noticed that impact on your child?
Oh yeah, it was really tough for the first few weeks. I was so emotional because even though he's at the age that he can't express or like say what's happening, but they have feelings and they understand the environment changes, right? So like at first few weeks, it was tough to see him because he knew every morning Derek sleep at the basement. He knew every morning that Derek comes up and say hi. But first few weeks, he's been looking at the door and waiting for him, and that really breaks my heart. It's really tough, and he gets more fussy because he don't understand the changes in the environment. Like, why is it only my mama here? Like, I'm used to see another person in the house, but they just like me for 24/7.
He spent 2 months in jail. He's still going to be on house arrest for the remainder of the year, and that standard has been set. This is going to be a tight house arrest, it sounds like. After that, he's on probation for 2 more years. So if you add up from when he got arrested and when it was in release conditions to being on this 1 year of house arrest to being on 2 years of probation, because it took him 2 years to even get to the house arrest in the first place.
And so what's the first few things you're hoping to do with Pastor Reimer once he comes home?
Well, of course, we want to spend time, like quality time together. And I mean, he's in home arrest, right? So probably we'll just like stay home, maybe just like, chat and eat some good dinner. But I'm sure he's really looking forward to play with Elijah because it's been a long time. And he also said that just looking at him, it feels weird because a lot of changes and growth for like 61 days that he's been incarcerated.
It's basically 5 years of not being allowed to protest LGBT events.
Well, and Elijah can see Derek from the courtroom, but you can't touch him, right? So I imagine even that is difficult.
Oh yeah, it's painful. It's really painful, right? That you know that the person is there, but the connection is tough. It's frustrating, actually. It's so frustrating.
Again, this is bittersweet. It's wonderful that he's out, but there's ongoing concerns that haven't been addressed.
And if people want to support his legal defense, where do they go?
Where do they go? What is it, SavePastorDerek.com? I think it's SavePastorDerek.com, but the Democracy Fund is funding his legal defense, and SavePastorDerek.com, it's a way for Rebel viewers to get involved in supporting him throughout his, again, we're in year 3 now of his legal battles, and it'll be over when it's over.
The reason behind why Pastor Derek has gotten into all of these troubles is because of his stance against the transgender education for children and some of the performances that are going on and stuff like that. So how do you feel about these consequences for those actions?
Well, I felt like it's not fair. You know what I mean? That this is not really a criminal offense. This is not. And it is so sad that like even our judicial system consider it as a criminal. And even there, like even the judge was saying like it is bullying and concerning. Well, bullying, you guys look at our social media and look how people spew hates on us and text us like personally and call Derek and then just threaten our life. That's like a hate crime, right? But Derek is coining Bible verses that homophobia is evil and they consider it as hate speech, which is sad and upsetting because like, well, I mean, this is very spiritual, right? But like carnally, like the world standard, like they still consider it as a criminal. And it's crazy. It's just like mind-boggling that why are we wasting our taxpayers' money just to shut down this guy? But we actually had neighbor 2 weeks ago was convicted as a pedophile, walking around the house, no condition at all. And then my husband, who is expressed his objection and standing for his value that grooming kids is wrong, and then he was incarcerated and been back and forth in prison. Like, where is the judge, like the justice with that? Like, I believe there's a lot of real offender there that just like can live their life, walk freely in the street, and just continue to do offense. But my husband, who is standing for the rights for the kids and expressing something, telling the government that this is not okay, grooming our kids, you don't normalize it. And it's so easy for them to put him behind the bars. And what's funny is they can get away with that. Like our life is already ruined, but those people who put him behind the bars can get away with that. They can still live their life and enjoy their life, but us, we are suffering.
End with this song and see you in the courtroom, if they let us.
Check. Thank you. Let's just point out that Derek's in jail right now for doing the police's job. He went in there, he went to do what they should have been doing.
First, I really appreciate this platform that we have the voice to speak out about this injustice that we're experiencing. And I would encourage everyone who's gonna watch this and who's been watching, please pray for us. And I would encourage everyone to just do an action with this. If you're a parent or if you have a niece or a nephew, like you have to speak something about this. Like we have to wake up. We have to speak up that the government cannot tell us what to do, how to raise our child. My son is a male and he's gonna grow up as a male. If my son, and I don't think it's right for the government to tell us that like, oh, okay, you know what, you can decide whatever you want and you can go to under this treatment, and it's crazy. And I encourage people and every parent or parent sending their kids to school, if they are teaching this ideology that is wrong, speak up, do something. Email the politician, the MLAs, or confront the schools, the principal that this is wrong. Like you don't introduce this wrong ideology to the young minds. Let them decide when they are on the right age.
Let me know in the comments what you think of Pastor Derek Reimer's situation. Should he have been sent behind bars for 2 months simply for spending a couple extra minutes at a courthouse in breach of his supposed conditions? Let us know in the comments. For Rebel News, I'm Sidney Fizzard. You can find out about all of his legal situation updates at savepastorderek.com. You can also go there to support his legal defense. After all, for many of you to know, this battle between him and the courts originally stemmed from his fighting against the transgender cross-dresser type education programs that are going forward for youth, not only in Calgary, but this is something that is extended into the Western world.